Doodle Chats.
Hi everyone, welcome to Doodle Chats. I'm here talking about mental health and creativity with our lovely Arty Farty SmARty, Cheryl. Cheryl, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Cheryl. Nell calls me an Arty Farty SmARty, but I'm not sure I'm that smart with it. I enjoy pottery and I play around with clay, and that's as the much level as my smartness goes, and I then extend that to others. That's about it. I live in Tunbridge. I also know Nell through the Tunbridge Community Pantomime, where we're actively involved in that. I had 2 children, third child, but he's technically an adult. But yeah, that's me really, in a nutshell.
Thank you, lovely. Thank you very much. Yeah, I forgot. Obviously, it's Tunbridge Community Pantomime where we first met, and then I've kind of dragged you on to get involved in so many other things. Just a couple. Cool. So we're gonna turn the cameras around now and just focus on kind of our drawing or our doodling, and then have a chat. When was the first time that you remember being creative?
Oh, crumbs. I would say it was probably, I'd like to say when I was equivalent of reception at school, but it was probably at nursery school, but it's always a little bit of a blur really. But I can always remember enjoying painting, painting is the main thing. And then as time went on, got more into drawing really. But no, I can certainly remember big paintings. And as a child, I used to draw pictures on the wall when we did wallpapering at home. And my family found it a bit of a joke that I couldn't get the eyes inside people's faces, so the eyes were outside the head.
Oh, I love that. Just see these 2 little eyes poking out at the side of the head or something.
Yeah, it's made me want to draw eyes now thinking about that, but
do it.
I started drawing swirls, so
you draw whatever you want. It's just doodling. Do you think that you were perhaps more free with your artwork when you were younger?
Oh, definitely. There was no feeling that it had to be a certain way. It was just exploring it, to be honest, which I think quite quickly dissolves, if that makes sense. You just can't. There's always something to be drawing, and it's got to be right, and it's got to be perfect, and it's got to be good.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about this in kind of other doodle chats. I think it's that pressure to be that perfect, to use that kind of drawing skill or artistic skill for it to be perfect, which might kind of put people off being creative or drawing or anything like that, painting.
Yeah, I think that's the shame of it all. I always feel that it's okay to not get things wrong, because you can't get it wrong, if that makes sense. But in doing things, you're testing things out and learning it and trying to see what works, what doesn't work, what you like to see, what you don't want to see, that kind of thing. I think that's squashed quite early on, that because you're trying to aim for a particular goal.
Yeah.
That just trying to work something out and see if it happens and works seems to disappear.
Yes. Yeah. You're not given like you were saying about exploring and kind of finding that creativity, or perhaps not given the opportunity to do that as much.
Well, yeah, and then it's perceived that you've got it wrong.
Yeah.
And is there a wrong in creativity?
Yeah, I find that a lot particularly when I'm trying to kind of promote creativity and using kind of the arts as a help for mental health or for mental illness. And I find that a lot is that, you know, you come up against people kind of really panicked and worried, and actually kind of having the opposite effect, you know, having an adverse effect where they're so worried about getting it wrong that actually it causes them to be more anxious than helping.
And also there's so many different elements to creativity. It's not just about, you know, drawing, or, you know, there's other ways. I think that's why I enjoy working with clay, because it's so different. It can be just as frustrating to you know, it's getting that match up in what's inside your head, what you want to do, to what you actually achieve. But the process of getting there is, I find, quite rewarding, even if you don't quite end up where you thought you would.
I just love working with clay because it's so tactile as well. You know, you do get a real kind of grounded sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, a kind of feeling of being grounded, and really kind of being in the moment, because you've got this thing that you can shape in your hands.
Yeah, definitely. And I think certain things that I do, if you so if I'm not trying, like now, I'm not trying to particularly produce anything, I'm just sort of thinking what works where and what doesn't. I literally feel that a sense of ease and relaxation come over, and I quite enjoy that. And you know, if I was trying to actually physically draw something and it wasn't going well, it's not a nice experience. Whereas actually, if you're just letting that yourself be creative and freer, then it sort of comes. And that is something that I've had to learn, because I am a real perfectionist, and like serious perfectionist, and to just let something happen and go with the flow is quite difficult.
Yes.
But I am trying to do that.
And do you think that's kind of helped your relationship with creativity and being creative?
Definitely.
That kind of letting go. Yeah.
Definitely. So the good example of that is using watercolours. I've always wanted to use watercolours, but I mean, you can get that perfection with watercolours if you want it to, but actually I've started to learn to love that lack of control you get with watercolours too. And my favourite way of using watercolours is to completely soak your paper and let's see how this goes. And yeah, you don't always get, you know, what you were thinking you were going to get, but sometimes you can get something you think, wow, I like that. And I like that, being able to lose control a little bit, because I think sometimes life gets very controlled and you have to be a certain way and do a certain thing and be in control, and if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And very rarely do we allow ourselves to just let go.
Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that you kind of see creativity as a loss of control. I really like that. I think, like we say, a lot of people, I think, find that they want to keep the control with creativity, but yeah, it really is about that kind of loss of control, actually.
Yeah. And I mean, even just if you just scribble, scribbling in itself is just, you know, you can, once you've done it, you can start to pick up a pattern, or, you know, that kind of thing, as to what's happening, really.
No, absolutely. And how do you think, I mean, obviously you've spoken about being that kind of, having that perfectionist head on, but how do you think being creative and creativity has helped your own mental health?
It certainly helps me to relax. being creative, you have to set aside a time to be creative, and it's allowing that time, which is something I'm still working on. I'm not very good at doing, but timetabling that in, and I think the more you do it, the more you feel the benefit, and I certainly do. So, you know, during this time, I've every day tried to, even if I haven't got the resources, tune in to watch your Arty Farty tutorials, because just that half an hour to just stop, do something, it's been really beneficial. And then, you know, when you've sort of like gone with the flow of it, because, you know, the tutorials ended and 2 hours later I'm still doing whatever it was, and dinner's late and etc., because you've got sort of like trapped in the moment, which has been really good.
Yeah.
I did get my watercolours too, but I love using just Crayola pencils. I don't know why.
No, they're nice actually. I've managed to get my colouring pencils out recently, because yeah, they're often the last medium actually that I tend to use.
Yeah,
It's been quite nice, and I think again it's that whole experimenting, exploring, you know, using different mediums, because quite often we can get stuck, I think, in one kind of medium or one kind of thing. So I was seeing somebody the other day who was kind of stuck in the adult colouring books.
oh yes.
Which, you know, I think are great, and I think they serve a purpose, but they don't leave much room for kind of creativity and going, you know, colouring outside the lines, as it were.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of a little bit worried, but she said, I don't know what it is. They're just, you know, they used to really relax me, and now they're not really doing much for me, basically. And so we tried her on some watercolours, and just in the kind of the space of a couple of weeks of doing just a few different things, a few different techniques, she really, really found a huge benefit out of them. And I think sometimes you just get stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Something new to play with.
Well, again, I think because you get, it's what we're used to, isn't it, and what you like doing, and it's that comfort in the known. Whereas if you sort of like take that step and that, you know, branch out and that risk, you can discover other things.
Yeah, definitely. I think art actually, you know, if you kind of remove that, it has to look like this or it has to look like that, I think art is one of those places where you can do that safely.
Yeah.
As opposed to, yeah, I think you can definitely do that safely. Whereas kind of, you know, trying something new in terms of like an activity or something like that might not seem as safe.
Yeah.
Whereas at least this is something you can do kind of from the comfort of your own home or in sort of familiar territory.
Yeah. I enjoyed actually like the Zentangles. I'm just doing some swirls and twirls that reminded me of that. You know, that was just something I'd never done before. I've done Zentangle colouring in before, of an actual book, but actually to create your own was I found that really lovely. I really enjoyed that.
That kind of pattern.
Yeah.
Pattern making.
And again, the perfectionist in me wanted to keep it all sort of neat and tidy, but actually the beauty of it is the swirls and the, you know, the lines and the bumps.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, you're like my perfect audience, if you like, because you're already what's the word? You've already been captured by creativity.
Yeah.
You know, you already know what it does. You already kind of feel the benefit, but trying to get other people to do it who don't necessarily, it doesn't come second nature, and they kind of haven't done any sort of creative things or even for just relaxation.
But that's where I think creativity is so important in schools, because we shouldn't, at a young age, we shouldn't be teaching our children to, oh, this is how you draw a tree, or this is how you, it should be to be creative, rather than, you know, trying to get the end goal of, you know, a picture of this, or a, you know, this is a bowl of fruit. It should be, this is the creativity that, you know, this is how we tap into it and use it, and because I think everyone can be creative, and I hate it when I hear people say I'm not good at art, but actually it's not about that, it's about the creativity. I mean, I was told you know, art wasn't my thing by an art teacher, and it destroyed me really, because art was the only thing for me. I wasn't very academic. So yeah, I found that quite sad really.
How did you build your confidence up again after that, after a comment like that?
Well, I mean, that was from a fine art teacher, which I would agree with. I'm not into drawing, you know, still life or whatever, never have been really. But I actually went on and I did graphics as my art selection at school, and it was in the days before computing. So I know graphics now is computing, but for us it was just graphic design of product packaging and lettering, and I was fascinated by lettering, and I think being a perfectionist, I could copy a font and draw it out, and loved producing posters and things. And I'm old enough to be in the days of when people did O-levels, and we were all warned that very few people could achieve a grade A at graphics, and I was one of 2 people in our class that did achieve the grade A.
Oh, amazing!
And yeah, that gave me that. I knew that I could do it, and I know that there's a lot of people within my family who are very artistic and creative, but it never really went away, and I think it made me map out my entire life differently to the way I actually had planned it to, because I initially wanted to go to art college and things, but it put me off. Yeah, that was a shame. That was a shame, but yeah.
It's so sad. I mean, you know, when I was lucky enough to do an art degree, and I did a foundation year as well. But when I was there, you know, the only kind of careers that were talked about were either being a full-time artist and how to get your art into galleries and all of this, or what was the other thing? Oh, museum curations, museum and galleries curation. And you know, that's the last thing I bloody wanted to do, was sit in a museum in my life. And that was it. There was no other discussion about what other things you could do with an art degree. You know, even going into kind of makeup or prop design. I mean, you look at the amount of creative people that are used on films and TV.
Had I done my time again, I didn't, well, I kind of did know about prop design and things. Obviously, you know, I've been involved in pantomimes and things for years, but and you know, done a bit of prop making and things. But when I went to the Warner Brothers studios and saw the making of Harry Potter, it was that was just like, wow, I wish I could have done this. That would be like, you know, would have been dream job. But I never knew about it. You know, it had already been stifled, that, you know, so it was never an option. and you know, what with the graphics element of it and the attention to detail and things, and that is just perfect. But no, was told art wasn't my thing, and I think that's a real shame. Not, I don't have any regrets, because you know, I did what I did, and that's it. But yeah, I just think hope for children now in schools that they can have more access to creativity. I doubt it, but
yes,
you know, that's what would be nice, really.
Yeah, no,
And,
it
you know,
would. It would.
it's not just about academia, you know, that it's so important, so many different things, really.
And I think that, you know, things like that, like the Harry Potter studios, or, you know, other kind of, even down to sort of extras on DVDs and or interviews and things like that, have just reached so many more people.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you call it? That big cabinet that's in the Harry Potter studios with all the typography.
Yes.
Like Dumbledore's will and things like that. Oh, it's just amazing to see how much work goes into it.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful, you know, they're beautifully designed.
Absolutely. And just, I don't know, there's just that a real sense of achievement and pride and fulfillment in, you know, doing something. I think that's when you're allowing your creativity to flow, and you're not sort of like sticking to a set agenda, you can experience that, and you can, you know, you can step back and look and think, yeah, I'm pleased with that. And
you get a real sense of pride.
Yeah, if you're trying to get a set thing, you don't always get that, because you're like, you know, not quite got where I wanted to be with that, and that bit don't like that.
Yeah, no, I know exactly how you feel. And do you think, I mean, interestingly, during kind of lockdown, like just thinking about all the shows on BBC and Channel 4 with like Grayson, and there's like Life Drawing on BBC 4 and things now.
Yeah.
I think kind of the like the National Live, National Theatre Live, and things like that. You know, I think people have realised how much creativity is needed actually at a time like this. You know, where we're all where our mental health is suffering effectively.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't sew, and that again was a bit of a joke in my family, because my mum was a dressmaker and seamstress and tailor. She was just very, very gifted, but I can barely sew a button on. But I love watching the sewing bee, because of the creativity and the, you know, what they do with those bits of material and how they achieve it and how they get there, and the different designs and ideas, same brief, but you know, and I just love watching things like that. I just find them really encouraging,
inspiring.
And it's that's their gift set, that's what they can, you know, the sewing is their thing. But I think it just reinforces again that, you know, there's so many different elements to creativity. It's not just, you know, what we perceive it to be.
No, absolutely. And I'm actually, you know, although lockdown isn't fantastic for so many reasons, and obviously there's horrible reasons behind the fact why we have to have lockdown, but actually in a way I'm kind of grateful to it, and I hope we don't move back to this kind of normality or perceived normality too quickly.
Yeah.
I love the fact that like people have had time, or like you say, have prioritized time to be creative during this.
I think it's made us strip back to the basics of what actually is important. It certainly has done. I mean, it's made us, well, me, think about what's important in life, and the priorities, and you know, whether we're actually working towards a purpose or chasing the wind, as it were. Because sometimes I just feel it's that hamster wheel that you get onto, and you know, you get to the certain point in your life and you think, what have I been doing? Whereas actually taking that time to do the things you want to do. If you can't do the things you want to do, then what's the point?
Yeah, I do think we're as a society not fantastic. I think we're getting better, but we're not fantastic at prioritising our own mental health and actually what we need at that point in time. You know, no, actually I do need a day off work for my mental health. No, I do need to have that 10 minutes of creativity every day for my mental health. And it is about kind of choosing, but it's also being sort of allowed to choose that. Whereas I think we still perceive, particularly kind of being creative and or art in general, but I think it's still perceived as something that is a luxury.
Yeah. But, you know, I do, if we could get the balance right, I think productivity would improve as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
That you think, you know, if the balance is correct, then things would improve.
We need to get some big stuffy companies doing it. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, hold of, like, not just exciting places like Google, but like the Bank of England or somewhere like that, doing creative workshops for their staff.
But, you know, if it's actively encouraged that, you know, you take a break rather than,
rather than your 5-minute lunch break.
And because if it's built into your timetable, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't feel wrong, or, you know, we shouldn't be doing this. You know, I think it's a shame really that, I don't know, if I spent the afternoon doing this, I'd feel that I'd be apologising for it and saying, oh, I'm really sorry, you know, I'm really lazy today. And it's just like, why?
Yeah. That's it again, it's just about that prioritising, isn't it? And feeling okay to do it.
Yeah.
Feeling it's allowed. How are you getting on with your doodle?
Yeah, I'm all right. I doodled for a while, and now I've gone into my little obsession of shading in, which I think that's why I like crayon or, you know, colouring pencils, because you can shade, and I quite enjoy that. So yeah.
Love it. I think I'm nearly finished. Have you found it quite good to be able to talk and draw at the same time? Have you found it easier to talk?
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I do lose concentration on one or the other though. That's just from being in my head.
I do find people talk a lot easier when they're drawing or when they're doodling or involved in something, because they don't have to like necessarily look the other person in the eye.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, I can just keep my head down and carry on doing what I'm doing.
I've always, well, I spend a lot of my day either by myself or with children. When they're at school, I spend a lot of time on my own with no adult, so I do tend to ramble and witter on anyway. Listening ear. So yeah.
Right, I'm going to put my last bit in.
Okay.
And then we'll stop. Oh wow! I've just knelt up to have a look at yours. Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you. I haven't even looked at yours.
Beautifully done. Mine is completely rammed in. I think I've got some owls in. I think that was where we were talking about Harry Potter.
Oh really?
I had some owls in there.
It's always
yeah, popped into my head. Oh, Cheryl, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for chatting. It's been fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. I've enjoyed it very much, and I'm just going to carry on finishing my doodling because it's got to the point now where I know where I'm going with it and I don't want to stop.
You can't stop. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, you crack on. Thank you so much, Cheryl.
Thank you now. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.